We don't need a tripod. Have Matt sell a radio.
Yes, we'll get one. How's that cold Seltzer?
Rishus. So right now, what time is it?
Oh wow, it's 9:47
9:47
p.m.
We didn't plan this. I called
No.
you up. I said, can we learn for 15 minutes? You said,
It's only for an hour and 15 minutes.
slow down there, big Sadik. This is Rishus cold seltzer.
Yeah. Yoma, right? Really, we're learning Lila right now.
Ooh. Was that good?
But hey, you could learn Yoma night or day.
Ooh, yes. We used to be Yoma Vilila. Yitzi liked that we got right into it last time.
Okay. Let's get in it.
So we're struggling with this. Not struggling. The Gemara is struggling to find how, in order to remedy the idea that a Kohen Gadol needs to have a wife, and we're concerned.
One and only one.
And if the wife dies while he's in the before Yom Kippur, after Yom Kippur, or during Yom Kippur, he's going to be left without a wife. And the Torah says you need to have a wife, basically.
Yeah, basically.
So the Mishnah said there was a viewpoint that in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda says he requires another woman be prepared for the Kohen Gadol, lest his present wife die. So the Gemara had questions about the effectiveness, and it said that this whole idea of giving a get to one of them, and we knocked away all those solutions.
Okay, so now, having failed to arrive at a satisfactory solution involving one get, the Gemara turns to solutions involving two getting.
Oh, now we're naming them. Isn't that funny?
Ella, the Megarish L'hu Tarvaya. Rather, he divorces both wives.
What did we name them last time?
I think Rachel and Leah.
And that was my 1 second share tonight.
Oh.
The mother's name of Rachel and Leah.
Mother's name
of Rachel and Leah in the Torah. It says in the Midrashic
She has a name? She has an actual name?
In the Midrashic Sefer, it's brought down in the 1600s that her name was Adina.
No way. I did not know that. To Rachel, he said, that was the first wife. This is your get, on condition that your fellow wife does not die, Leah. And to Leah, he said, this is your get on condition that you do not enter a shul.
Do you know which one's which? Is Rachel the first one, or we didn't class?
We said that Rachel was the first one, but I don't see why. Let's see. No 5. He gave one get to each wife. The get given to Rachel was conditional on Leah's not dying before the end of Yom Kippur. The get given to Leah was conditional on her not entering a shul on Yom Kippur.
Seems pretty random. I mean, I can understand the get given to Rachel was conditioned on Leah not dying before the end of Yom Kippur. So what happens?
So let's see. There are 3 possibilities. Either neither wife dies. B, only Rachel might die, either before or during Yom Kippur. Only Leah may die, either before or during Yom Kippur. Once again, we may ignore the highly remote eventuality of both wives dying. Ooh, okay. We don't want to, because that's already so far-fetched. It will be seen that this pair of gittin can ensure the Kohen Gadol a single wife on Yom Kippur in all eventualities as follows. A, if neither wife dies, what's going to happen? Well, Rachel was divorced all along since the condition of her get, that Leah not die, was fulfilled. So I guess then we're kind of switching Rachel and Leah here. Sometime before the end of Yom Kippur, Leah steps into a shul, thus voiding her divorce. Kohen Gadol remains married to Leah.
Can we break that down a little bit? No one died.
No one dies.
Rachel was divorced all along because he said this is your get on condition that your fellow wife does not die. So every second that Leah is alive...
So long as Leah...
is alive, you're divorced. So what if he lives with her? The children are nothing? Like, this is your get on condition that your fellow wife does not die. So we want to get out of that if she does die.
So we could see who? Rachel? So if Rachel dies...
No, it's really like, so long that she's on life support.
I'm not sure what you're saying.
This is your get on condition your fellow wife does not die.
Yeah.
So you're divorced.
Yes. Right. Basically, if no one dies, then you're divorced. That's what that means.
You're divorced right away?
It'll come out, Lemafreya, that yes, she was divorced right away. So that's if neither wife dies. Now,
hold
if
on,
Rachel
and then the
dies,
end of that. Sometimes before the end of Yom Kippur, Leah steps into a synagogue, thus voiding her divorce. Okay, so he's married to Leah.
yes, I think that these names now are now. Yeah.
But he's married to Leah and Rachel.
Well, Rachel.
Oh, he's divorced to Rachel, right?
Because the other wife did not die.
Thus voiding her divorce. Really voiding her get, but okay. Kohen Gadol married to Leah. Okay. If Rachel dies.
Now, if Rachel dies, Rachel was divorced all along, since the condition of her get that Leah not die was fulfilled. So she's fine. I mean, there's only a wife anyways, whether she's dead, divorced. Leah, upon hearing of Rachel's death, steps into a shul, thus avoiding her divorce. So she's now still married. The Kohen Gadol remains married to Leah. Great, and he has that one wife. Now, what if Leah dies? Leah is the one that he said, don't go into a shul. Rachel's divorce is canceled because he said, here's your get, an condition that she does not die. Well, she died. So that means the get's no good. Rachel's divorce is canceled. It's the condition of her divorce that Leah not die was not fulfilled. Leah was divorced all along since she never stepped into a shul. The Kohen Gadol remains married to Rachel. Huh.
And if Leah dies the second she walks into a sin, I'm kidding. Okay.
I was thinking that. There's another case that you could think of also.
No,
well, first of all, right, what if Leah dies, meaning what time on Yom Kippur is she walking in there? Let's say it's like 4 p.m., right?
Yeah.
Maybe she times going into the shul the second after he gets out of the Kodesh Kadasha. So he finishes Avodah, he had Beisai, she goes into shul. But there is technically that second, while he's, let's say, in the Kodesh Kadasha.
Wait, it's the whole Yom Kippur. We never said that it's only during...
I think that time, we did mention that,
okay.
the Avodah. Like, when he does the Avodah, he has to have Beisai. But let's take away those, like, remote possibilities. That's kind of where it's going in.
It's funny that, like, in all these instances, it's like Lima Freya. Like, if you ask someone, are we married right now? I'll tell you tomorrow.
So, it's very interesting, right? That's like...
It's like you're playing with time. And you really don't know if you're actually married because we have to wait until tomorrow, or if something happens that will impact what it's like. So if they have a child from that, during that unknown time, the child may be born...
You don't know.
Yeah.
This is the concept which we did in the Dharam called Brera.
Yeah, what was it?
Retroactive clarification. Where you don't know right now, but you will at some point be clarified retroactively.
But the Gemara's not happy with this.
So, what happens?
Perhaps her fellow wife Leah will not die. And she, Leah, will also not enter a synagogue in Yom Kippur. And thus the get of each one of them is a valid get. Bias. So if the wife doesn't die...
Because we keep assuming that, okay, if Rachel dies, well, it's fine, because Leah just has to walk into the shul.
We assume one of them is going to die. But if none of them die...
No, if none of them died, it also works.
Sorry.
But Leah has to also step into a shul. All of this is predicated that Leah will step in a shul. As long as she survives, she's going to know to step into a shul. The Gemara is just saying, what if Leah forgets to step into the shul?
She doesn't die, so then Rachel is... divorced,
Correct.
and Leah
If she doesn't step into the shul, she'll also be divorced, and then the Kayin is left without a wife. Leah has to go into the shul in order to stop the divorce from happening.
Yeah. And she also has to not die.
Right. Well, but if she does not,
so the Rishonim asked the question that was bothering me on the bottom. The Rishonim question why we should fear that Leah will fail to enter a synagogue if we give her clear instructions to do so. Rabbi Akiva Eger offers the following explanation. A review of the various possibilities laid out in 05 will show that if Leah does not die, then she must enter a synagogue in order for the service to be valid. Okay. Rather, to one Rachel, he said, this is your get on condition your fellow wife, Leah, does not die. Okay. And to the other one, Leah, he said, this is your get on condition that I enter a synagogue on Yom Kippur. Now, if one dies, the other one remains married. Right? If Leah dies, then I'm sorry. This is your get on condition your wife Leah does not die. So if Leah dies, then he's married to Rachel. And if the other one dies, right? If Rachel dies,
it's basically the same thing, but now it's in the Kohen Gadol's hands to walk into the shul. In the previous one, we're like, well, but what happens if she forgets to go into the shul? So now we're saying, okay, it's up to the Kohen Gadol, right?
So it says, now if one dies, the other one remains married. Okay, that makes sense. If the other one dies, the other one remains married. What other eventualities there to speak of? That perhaps her fellow Leah will die in the middle of service. And he will retroactively have performed the service with 2 households. Perhaps her fellow wife, Leah, will die in the middle of the service.
This one is going to be a hard one to shake, I think.
1 second. So Leah is dead. So then, if Leah died, then he's still married to Rachel. But if Leah's dead, he will retroactively have performed the service of 2 households. Since Leah died, Rachel's divorce is invalidated, and since Leah was alive at the onset of the service, he'll be married to both Rachel and Leah for part of the service. This is your get on condition your fellow wife does not die. So if she does die, then the get is chal.
Get is not chal.
Is your get on condition that Leah does not die. Oh, right. But if Leah dies, then the get is not chal, and he's married to Rachel, but he was also married to Leah in the middle of the service. That is not a problem, because if he sees that Leah, is about to die, he will go first and enter a synagogue, and thus renders this one's Leah's get a valid get retroactively, and therefore.
But if he's halfway through the avodah, how's he going to do that? So,
like there's that moment where you can't do that. Because you know what? This goes to show you that to enter Beis HaKnesses, to enter a Beis Medrash, to enter a shul, sometimes we can build that in our hearts. You know what they say, like... Yeah, that one.
That one? You're saying he's entering into the Mishkan.
Yeah, and he has the koyach. He can tap. Yeah. That's a real Rabbi Akiva Eger. Deep. It's not Rabbi Akiva Eger. Let's try that. Rabbi Akiva Eger was like... So, like, whenever we were learning Rabbi Akiva Eger, like, he was always like, it was like fire. It was always like so brainy and so like it was like an Eli, you know. It was something next level to the way he learned.
Hard to follow the footsteps. Such a giant.
Was he alive 400 years ago? You could say yeah, or 800 years. I have no clue. I have no understanding of when Rabbi Akiva Eiger lived.
Well, I feel like it wasn't that long ago, but...
Well, 300 years ago?
I don't know. Yeah, let's say that. I'm gonna go with that.
200 years ago?
I'm gonna go with, like, I feel like he was alive.
In the 1700s?
Yeah, I want to say that.
I'm gonna go with that also.
Okay.
There's no way for us to know, so.
No, because Flippy over here.
Flippy, oh, that you took on the name of mine.
I like it. I do like
Good.
it.
Flippy,
Tonight.
you could take it, sure. I retired mine.
I do like it.
Flippy.
Flippy.
How you enjoying it?
I had a hard day yesterday. Very hard day.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I feel lonely. And then, you know what's really
Call me.
sad?
I'll schmooze.
I know. I like that you called me tonight. But you know what's really sad? After a whole day, I lost my iPhone. Usually, okay, I have it on Wi-Fi, but I didn't know where it was, and then it died, and I had to look all over it. When I finally turned it back on to check my WhatsApps, there's no one there.
What does that mean?
I had like no one to catch up. You know, it's like
statuses?
Of course there were statuses, and of course there's group chats. But you realize that, like, you think you have everything on there. There's so many people you're interacting with, but it's empty. It's a little empty shell. There's too many chats.
That's progress. That's progress.
No,
you heard that?
Very
That's
hard. It was very hard. So that was in and itself hard.
I'm not saying it's not hard.
And then you know what I
progress.
realized? I'm used to having a computer in my pocket at all times, so that I'm not bored. I was waiting in line in that Geffen Gourmet Fleishik place.
Yeah. How was that?
It was good. It was good. But, like, you know, they're new, so it took 10 minutes.
It's a taste of Shabbos during the week, yeah?
Well, it's the other entrance. But, oh, they gave me the little slug for free.
Yeah.
I kept it here. It's a little personal. Like, I usually pay like $6 for the tub. I don't need the whole tub.
You don't need the whole tub.
Exactly. And they give it to me for free with the sandwich.
Why don't you keep a little safer in your pocket and learn a little bit?
I know. I should get a Mishayas.
Yes. Keep in your pocket and I'll come to see him. I'll be like, Benjamin, you're making a siyum? And you'll be like, yeah, from all the times I waited in Geffen Gourmet Fleishiks.
Exactly. So that's been the tough part. I need, and my brother was telling me this, like, don't just move off the smartphone, fill that time with something. And I'm realizing it's hard. It's really hard.
Cha-cha. You can text Cha-cha on your phone.
Oh, I love Cha-cha.
Me and Yitzi used to manage, we were Cha-cha guides.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I remember running out of credits, running out of Cha-cha credits.
Oh, yeah?
That's too many questions.
They owed us $150, but we never filed the paperwork, so we never got the money. $150 is 10 cents a question. Do the math. That's 100 questions every $10. We answered 1,500 questions.
You did sports scores? I remember doing Cha-cha
whatever they
quiz.
need. Yeah, whatever you needed. We looked it up. So one time someone said, "Who's the best Rosh Hashiva in Lakewood?" It was like Pesach Ben Izmanim, and I replied, "I'm not sure who the best Rosh Hashiva is, but would your Rosh Hashiva be happy that during Ben Izmanim you're texting Cha-cha?" Like, they knew I was Jewish. And some kid in Lakewood got that. I'll never know who it is.
Wow.
If it's you, it can't be you. You're the only one who listens. The basis for the entire preceding discussion was the Gemara's assumption that the pasuk, and he shall make atonement for himself and for his household, implies that the Kohen Gadol must have one and only one wife on Yom Kippur. The Gemara now challenges this assumption, which was my question all along. Like, what, you can't have two wives? The Kohen Gadol, he's like, yeah, check. You're all good? Okay. Red fiery here. Kohen, no, false Kohen. Okay, great. And you're married to Mrs. Kohen and Mrs. Kohen. Adios. Mayor Cohen. Maskefla Rav Asi v'samei Rav Avira, not Avira. Rav Asi, some say it was Rav Avira, challenged it. Elimiata, but according to this, to follow Shtei Yavas Yavames Habayis Mibayis Echalayim Yisyaibimu. Two Yavamas who come from one house should not be subject to Yibum. When a man dies childless, the Torah commands that one of his brothers marries his widow unless she is released by the ceremony known as Chalitza. This marriage is called Yibum. The Torah describes a brother-in-law who decides not to perform Yibum, but to release the widow through Chalitza instead as a man who would not build his brother's household. Following the same line of reasoning as the Gemara adopted earlier regarding the Kohen Gadol's wife, We ought to infer from this verse that the law of Yibam should be limited to where the deceased brother had only one household, one wife, but where he had two wives, Yibam should not apply. In fact, however, this is not the law. Rather, where the deceased had two wives, both of them are subject to Yibam. Neither of them may marry until one of them undergoes either Yibam or Chalitza. The Yibam or Chalitza of one wife, and I know that automatically releases the other. In fact, the Gemara, two Yavamas who come from one house should not be subject to Yibam, right? The Pasuk says, builds his brother's household. So if there's two from households, then you don't do it. And for the Gemara, Yivimta Riba, the Torah repeatedly uses the expression his Yivama and again his Yivama. This repetition serves to include even more than one Yivama in the commandment of Yibam.
Meaning that you have the mitzvah to be miyabim two women? Or that if there are two women, still the mitzvah just to marry one of them?
Yeah, meaning, there's a chiyuv of Yibam Chalitza.
Still a chiyuv.
But what does that leave us with by Kaya?
Where does that leave us with Kayan? Well, we had the question, why do you know that it applies to Kayan? And we answered it by Yavama. So it must be that we still left off that you can only have one Kayan. Basic. That stands.
Unless we go to that pasuk and it says basic twice.
I don't know if we pass on like Rabbi Huda, who says that you need to back up the temp.
But even according to the Rabbanon,
the Rabbanon only say you needed a backup Kohen Gadol, but not a backup wife to the Kohen Gadol. They're not chayshish for that. Because to be disqualified from Avodah, that's common, yeah. But to die is uncommon.
So according to the Tanakama, you can have two wives, it wouldn't be a problem. Or no, it says Beisai. You just don't have to prepare another wife, but you need one.
He does have to have a wife.
But you can't have two? Mistama, because it says Beisai. You still can't get around that.
Interesting.
You just don't have to prepare for it.
Interesting. And here's my other question. Remember, we had to have it's like, why don't you just get married on Yom Kippur? So we said you can't do, is there a thing you can't do Nisuin on Yom Kippur? It's a problem?
What do you mean, get married on Yom Kippur? He needs to have Beisai.
Okay, so he gets married.
Before the
Right before, let's say when does she die? If she dies before the Avodah, so before he goes in, he'll know, and then he'll marry a new person.
So he's saying just get married? Meaning if she dies, he'll just marry somebody else. Problem is, if it's during the Avodah, he can't be busy with getting married. I mean, you had a question before, right? If this happens during the Avodah, he can't walk into a shul.
Yeah,
it's not exactly able to avoid the marriage.
Exactly.
The Gemara earlier stated, we'll do a little more. Gemara earlier stated that the Kohen Gadol's wife must be fully married to him and not merely betrothed in order to satisfy the requirement of his household. I'm slurring my words because it's late, Rabbi say. The Gemara now challenges this. Maskefla Ravina v'samei Rav Sharavya. Ravina, and some say it was Rav Sharavya, challenged it. El Mihata, but according to this, Arusa lo tisyabim, a betrothed wife should not be subject to Yibum. And we know this is not so. So, since she is referred to as the deceased brother's household, what? We just said betrothed is not his household, then a betrothed wife should not be subject to Yibam.
Oh, because it's an Arusa. Yibam, we always think about Yibam. There's a couple, they're married, a bunch of years, they have kids.
Oh, but if
then she falls to Yibam. What if all they did was the Erison step, they didn't do the Nisuin step? The Gemara says, and Arusa is subject to Yibam, but now we're asking, it should follow, based on what we just said, that Arusa should not be subject to Yibam.
Right, because it's not Beisai. So why should they be subject to Yibam?
Right.
Or other way around is, if we see that Arusa is subject to Yibam, then Beisai shouldn't include it. Then someone who's betrothed should be a Kohen's wife.
Good enough, right?
Right.
That's it.
Hachutza, the Torah refers to the Yavama as being outside, the Rabbis as Harusa. This serves to include a betrothed wife in the mitzvah of Yibam. Meaning,
So dak only in Yibam it works to include this outside woman into the
it's
fold.
taka not Beisai, but the Torah says by Yavama,
Special.
it's special.
That's why you still have to do Yibam, but by Kohen Gadol, it's not Beisai.
The wife of the deceased shall not marry out of the family to a stranger. However, Gemara takes the word achutza as qualifying Eishas Hames. Read this way, the pasuk states, the outside wife of the deceased shall not be married to a stranger. The outside wife refers to a betrothed woman who is married but still outside the full marital bond, since she may not engage in marital relations with her betrothed husband. You know what? And the Torah is probably protecting this engaged betrothed woman so that she does have the ability to have marriage, but maybe more the other way. Even the Yavam.
Well, the point is
to carry the name
carry
on.
the name. Therefore, well, it's interesting, right? So you'd think for the Rusa, she's just an Arusa, so maybe you don't have to carry the name. Like, what did she do already?
No, but we care about the nifter so much that we want to continue it. So there was some attachment. We say go weiter. Do you know that the neshama of the child is the deceased?
How do you know?
Steht I saw.
Really?
Mm-hmm. We're gonna start.
All right, shkach.
More.
By the way, I would say there was another hard thing with not having a smartphone. What was? Oh yeah, I was driving in a car and I wanted to listen to the latest money. There's this podcast called Kosher Money.
There's a hotline.
What?
There's a phone number you can call.
There's a phone number.
Yeah, like a free hotline.
Oh really?
Every all of them, yeah.
What's the number?
I can pull it up afterwards.
Oh, right, because you need that. See? Now you can't do something.
I'm fine with that.
So basically, yeah, I wanted to listen to a podcast, and instead I was listening to like 770, you know? Remember one of those
Oh yeah.
Mark Levin, or I don't know, someone.
You have to listen to the radio.
I had to listen to the radio. Listen to, like, I couldn't skip 30 seconds.
Why is the radio gonna not be a thing? I think in the next 20 years, they're just gonna get rid of it.
Oh, so why can't just car makers put in like Apple Podcasts and Spotify whatever it is, like whatever you would listen to,
just put it
beam
on
it.
Well, it needs internet. Someone has to pay for that.
Please, I think
add it to the
internet everywhere.
subscription.
Yeah, exactly. It's there. Everything's subscriptions these days. So.
Okay, everyone.
Laila Tov, Yoma.
Laila.